listening to, but not many people play the trumpet.
Listen, somebody who likes to toot his own horn is Geraldo Rivera, and he joins us from Cleveland. Hey, Geraldo, good morning to you.
Good morning. Nice to see the Beatles all together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, isn't it curious? Now we have seen 15 pages of James Comey's memos, and these were the things, you know, he leaked to his friend so that that would spur a special counsel investigation of Donald Trump. And now we look at the stuff. There's nothing in there that would suggest Russian collusion. There's nothing in there to suggest obstruction of justice. So what gives?
You know, first of all, Steve, as a current author myself, I envy Comey's, incredible press tour. He's everywhere speaking to everybody. He's got a number one book out there. But the more exposure he gets, even among people who would be naturally friendly toward his point of view, the less his image of grandeur, it's just shrinking. He's melting right before our very eyes. Now he seems like that aw shucks thing is gone. Now he seems like Revenge of the Nerd, a guy who's just trying to stick it to Donald Trump. And it also seems, I don't want to be a psychologist, an armchair psychologist about this, but it seems to me that he is so embarrassed about sabotaging Hillary Clinton's presidential aspirations that he's bending over backwards to insult the President of the United States. Talking about Donald Trump's little hands, his ties too long, his orange face and so forth, and in all of these press events he's doing. In terms of the book and the memos, it seems like such a big nothing burger. I don't see anything there that corroborates in any way the cosmic charge of collusion. Right. Moreover, when you're talking about some of the evidence backing the charges against the president, the infamous Steele dossier, and Comey suggesting in a very reckless way, yes, it's possible, some of these more lurid sex allegations, it's possible. It's also possible that aliens will populate the earth, or they'll discover gold under the Fox News building on 6th Avenue. I just think that he's coming across as reckless, as irresponsible, as someone who is in every single way trying to exploit this opportunity to make his cachet. I just think that this is advantage President Trump as of right now.
Well, unlike your book, your memoir, looking back at your years, he has an unfolding investigation and news happening while his book is coming out. So he wants to talk about his book and his reflections, but he's been forced to talk about the news. And Jake Tapper did a great job yesterday. I know, I think Brett Baer will be even better next week. But he asked him about Peter Strzok. He said, Peter Strzok led the FBI agent in texting somebody, led the FBI investigation, is texting somebody disparaging things about the president. Can you understand how he feels as though there's a bias here? He said, sure, I would be very concerned about that. It's the reason Bob Mueller removed Peter Strzok. That's missing the point. The damage was already done. He talked to Hillary Clinton. He talked to Michael Flynn. He was a part of this investigation that was looking at the emails back in October that would eventually be released later that month. So Peter Strzok was somebody who's on the wrong side of this.
Peter Strzok, Brian, is also evidence of what seems to be, and I hate to say it because I honor the FBI and the DOJ. They are the impartial arbiters of our fate when it comes to law and order, crime and punishment. But there does seem to be, or at least there was a year ago, a stink in these institutions, an anti-Trump stink. Strzok, one of the most vivid examples of that. But at some point, you have to put yourself in the president's shoes. How would you feel if this incredibly powerful collection of FBI agents and assistant attorney generals and so forth were all almost determined to sink your political fate? It really seems very, very unsavory. And if the Flynn thing, the General Michael Flynn thing, is the strongest evidence they have of obstruction, the president saying to Comey, I hope you can see your way clear to let this thing go. I mean, why can't we construe that as it most naturally would be construed? Here's a war hero. Here's a man who served his country. Here's a guy worried about his own son's fate, General Flynn.
Of course.
Why not cut him some slack on something that's no harm, no foul? Comey,
Geraldo, when I read through these memos, most of our viewers are not going to sit down and read the 15 pages, so it's our job to tell them what's in it. This memo is about 3 meetings, 1 at Trump Tower, 2 at the White House. There's also a meeting in here that he met with Reince Priebus, and then 3 phone calls with the President of the United States. So I read through this whole thing. There were some things that really stood out, but most information has already been out there that we know. But you mentioned the stink thing, although I do want to say that Comey said he didn't leak. In the memo, he told George Stephanopoulos that he did leak to his friend, the reporter. He also said that the president went back to him and said, I didn't stay in that hotel room in Russia, that dirty dossier thing. So that stood out to me. But you mentioned the stink part, and this is what he said after his first meeting at the White House. He said the conversation, which was pleasant at all times, was chaotic, with topics touched left, then returned to later, making it very difficult to recount in a linear fashion. It really was conversation as jigsaw puzzle in a way, with pieces picked up, then discarded, then returned to. I read that and I thought, he says he's not political. That sounds extremely political. It sounds like he has disdain for the president, and it sounds like he knew if he was going to get fired, he wanted to have that in there for his book. What struck you when you read the memos?
You know, Ainsley, I feel similarly. First of all, the memos were a classic example of cover your behind. He wanted, ex post facto, after the fact, to recreate a situation that reflected most negatively on the president and most positively on James Comey. He knew that his destiny was very fragile, his standing with the FBI very much tenuous, very much in doubt because of the president's attitude toward him. Right. But for him to write these things down, it just seems so self-serving. Yeah. It just seems to me almost as if he was penning the first draft of the book that has now been published.
And you know what's interesting about that, Geraldo?
There's no nobility in James Comey, the way I see it right now.
And he took notes of his conversations with Donald Trump, but he never took notes with Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama or Loretta Lynch. Isn't that ironic? I don't know if how many times he met Rudy Giuliani. Probably didn't take any notes.
He talked glowingly about Rudy Giuliani in his book.
Right, exactly. So anyway, here's the big news, and that is Rudy has joined President Trump's legal team. Do you think that's going to help him with the Mueller probe, or is that more of the Michael Cohen probe with the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney?
I don't think, personally, the Mueller probe is the president's real threat. I think the Mueller probe is petering out. The president's now been informed that he's not the target. Right. I think it's only a matter of time before there is an admission, grudging, way late, delayed insufferably, but there will be an admission by the special counsel, Robert Mueller, that there was no Russia collusion. So the whole basis of this entire odyssey will be found to be bankrupt. The New York case is different. I mean, Michael Cohen is a wheeler dealer. I don't know if he dotted every I, crossed every T in his business dealings with President Trump. That will be, it would seem to me, just looking at it from the outside, I have no special inside information, but the New York case does seem to be more common allegations, common crime, not anything cosmic, not anything having to do with national security, but a criminal, whether it's a tax or bank fraud or something of that nature. And in that regard, I think Rudy Giuliani will be a ferocious defender of the president in a way that will surpass any of the attorneys named so far in his defense.
And they added some more.
Rudy Giuliani is exactly the guy.
And they added some others to help out too. So the legal team's finally complete. And Rudy said, I want to get this done in 2 weeks, and I'm going to call Robert Mueller, who he likes, and try to see what is it going to take to wrap it up. The retort's going to be, I need to sit down with the president, then we'll find out what he's going to do. Real quick, when it comes to McCabe, Comey was asked, how do you feel about Andy McCabe? How do you feel about Andy McCabe being caught lying 4 times? James Comey goes, well, good people lie. Really? What was Donald Trump saying? Hey, I know he should have been more candid with the vice president, but give him a break. He's a good guy. What is the difference? So he's not saying he's perfect. He's saying give him a break. By the way, he served his country for over 30 years.
McCabe was thrown under the bus by James Comey. It was very clear and almost dramatic to see how here's James Comey, and he's so noble and He's the G-man and so forth. And here it is. McCabe is in a jam. McCabe is now revealed to be a person who lied under oath, allegedly. Comey now says, McCabe, he stinks. I'm going to distance myself from him. The fact of the matter is McCabe will go down. How ironic is it that McCabe will go down? He is headed down the Martha Stewart minimum security prison path right now, in my opinion. He's going to go down. Comey's trying now to shun him, to turn his back to Andrew McCabe. But I think Andrew McCabe will be the most vivid of all the indictments to come out of the Russia collusion. How ironic it is that Andrew McCabe will be one of the few people actually suffering criminal jeopardy for lies he told.
However, guess what?
James Comey,
he said James Comey gave him permission to talk to the Wall Street Journal, and he said that he knew about it all along. So somebody's lying.
Well, I think that we will test both accounts, and we have some corroborating evidence to back or undermine either side. But I think that that's where it will be fought. And I also think that as time goes by, and now, the whole issue of Comey with Hillary in July, Hillary in October, Hillary later in October, his role, the role that he played, and the role the Attorney General Loretta Lynch played with Bill Clinton in the airport meeting and so forth. I think that those are the items that will get more attention, more critical attention going forward. I think that McCabe will go. Some of the others have already pled. They'll go. Poor Flynn is doomed unless the president can pardon him. The action will be in New York, and it will be about taxes or bank fraud or whatever it is.
Geraldo,
and we'll watch this unfold.
I'll talk to you on radio. You don't have to wear a tie. Thanks so much.